Good morning to all of you who are fathers in the crowd. Happy Father's Day. To those who are here with their fathers, as some of you are, make sure you remind them Happy Father's Day. You know, this is a time that the nation has set aside to tell our fathers and to give back to our fathers a little bit of appreciation of the love they have shown for us. And so what I want us to do this morning is I'm going to ask us to go back to the Scriptures, and I want us to look at a father of God's choosing. And that means Abraham. You see, Abraham was a father who God chose. A father who God chose late in life. But still, he was a father chosen by God. You know, I think a lot of times we forget that each and every one of us in our lives, we have things that God has called us to, that God has allowed us. He's given us our children. He's given us responsibilities in our lives. And those of you who are fathers, who are now grandfathers, who are uncles, He has allowed us to have responsibilities in our lives to help guide and help direct and help teach all those around us. Men who have neighbors who are able to teach their kids next door. God has given us those opportunities to affect the world around us. You see, God wants everyone everywhere to know who He is. And we can easily know who God is by seeing God through our fathers. Abraham was just such a man. A man who was so willing to serve God that his only son, Isaac, he takes on a journey with him because God tells him to. Up on a mountain to offer sacrifice. Isaac asked his father in this trip up the mountain as Isaac's carrying the wood for that offering, "Father, where's the sacrifice?" Abraham bowing himself down, surrendering himself, humbling himself before God, tells Isaac that God will provide. And because of Abraham's willingness, his humility before God, as he lays Isaac out to sacrifice him, and as he lifts up the knife, God says, "Don't. Stop." That's what I wanted to know, Abraham. That you would put me before all men. You're a father after my choosing. After my upbringing. And that He provides a sacrifice caught in the brush, not very far off. You know what's interesting in that whole story is never does Isaac fight his father. He trusts his father wholly. You know, my dad must know what he's doing. He trusts this God, and God's led him this far. He must know. You know, I wonder how much Isaac had gone out with his father before. He never asked him questions. "All right, Dad, I'm going with you. I'm going to carry the wood. No problem." You know, I think a lot of us are kind of like that around our fathers. These men who have raised us, we trust them, don't we? I remember one instance when I was growing up where my dad gave me the opportunity to go with him. He'd gotten a call from a couple on Interstate 20. We didn't live very far from there. Whose car broke down. It was in January, and as you know, Texas doesn't get a lot of snow. Matter of fact, the last 2 years we've gotten more snow than we've had in a long time, haven't we? But for some strange strange reason, it was snowing that evening on Interstate 20, and their car had broke down. A young couple headed to Shreveport, Louisiana. This young man had just gotten out of the service. He had just taken a job with an aircraft company there in Shreveport, working with avionics on helicopters. And he was trying to make it for work. And I remember Dad said, "No, y'all get in the car, come with me." So we did. And so as we get out of the car, he says, "Guys, I want y'all to stay over here on the shoulder, away from the cars. It's dangerous tonight." He gets out, he looks at the car. Really quickly, he realizes what the problem is. He has the young couple get in our truck with us and brings them to the house. I want to remind you, this is probably about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening. He calls up the parts store and says, "Do you have this item," which was a timing belt? And they said, "Yes. If you can be here in the next 15 minutes, we'll have it for you." Interesting. We're going to go to this store in the snow, which doesn't happen often in Texas. And Dad gives no second thought to it. He heads out. He gets the part. They're about to close their doors. They normally would have stayed open a little later. The weather was bad and the workers wanted to go home. We were able to get the part. Normally, when a car breaks a timing belt, you usually tear valves in the engine. For some reason, it didn't happen. He was able to get the car put together that evening for this couple so they could go on their way. Well, it was an interesting time. Dad took us out with him on this call. This call that he didn't have to take. Showed hospitality to people that he didn't know. And you wonder, what do you learn about this? Except that you see the type of love that a Christian should have for people around them. How when they need help, that you should help them. Yes, it may be difficult. It may be not at the best time. It's actually pretty inconvenient. But you still help them. You do what it takes. It's those type of instances growing up that really have helped shape the character of who I am. And I think as we all start to look back at our fathers, we can think back to times when our fathers have done stuff with us, whether it's taking us hunting or teaching us how to do things in our lives. And they've helped shape us in who we are.